So some of the most secure looking companies on paper are actually wide open to hackers right now. And the worst part, they probably just paid $50,000 or more to a consulting firm to, give them a shiny rubber stamp and prove that they're actually really safe. I want to introduce you and welcome you to the compliance trap. If you think that passing a SOC 2 or getting your ISO 27001 certified or being PCI compliant means that a company's data is actually safe, you're just being lied to. Today, we're going to be exposing massive cybersecurity theater that corporate executives seem to fall for every single year. We're going to be talking about why a $10 million compliance budget, it won't stop a basic ransomware attack, and why the entire IT industry is fundamentally broken. If you've ever worked in IT and felt like you were drowning in useless paperwork while servers were burning, this video is going to be for you, so stay tuned. Let's break down how this trap exactly works. Because to an outsider, compliance sounds smart. You can look at it and it looks like a strict exam that a company's got to pass. But in reality, it's just checklist mentality. Let's think about how an audit actually happens. An auditor, let's be honest, it's often a fresh college graduate at a business school who barely knows how a business firewall works, comes into a company. They check your systems on a Tuesday. They look at your written policies. They see that you have a password complexity rule. And they check the box. You pass. But what happens on Wednesday? Well, a junior cloud administrator makes a tiny mistake while configuring an AWS bucket and leaves a database containing, 3 million customer records wide open on the public internet without a password. The company's now completely exposed. Hackers, they're actively draining the data, but on paper, the company's certificate still says that they're perfectly safe and compliant for the next 364 days. Really, compliance is just a snapshot of a single moment in time. Real security is continuous. You can't defend dynamic, fast-moving corporate network with a static piece of paper. If you think I'm just being cynical, let's look at some history. Let's look at some of the biggest, most embarrassing corporate breaches over the last decade. We can look at Target. Let's look at Equifax. Or how about Capital One? Do you think any of these billion-dollar giants didn't have compliance certificates? Come on. They had entire departments. They're dedicated to compliance. Their paperwork, it's flawless. Their auditors gave them a gold star and a pat on the back. And yet, somehow, the threat actors walked right through the front door using basic exploits and stolen credentials. Why? Because compliance drains resources away from the real defense. It creates what I call security theater. Executive leadership sees the audit report and says, well, we've checked all the boxes on the list, so hey, we must be safe. We don't need to buy that advanced network monitoring tool the engineering team has been begging for. Instead, they spend their budget pleasing accountants and lawyers instead of stopping actual threat actors. They confuse a legal shield with a digital shield. Now, to be completely fair, I'll admit, compliance isn't entirely evil. For a lazy company or a company that doesn't really know anything about security, it forces them to do the bare minimum baseline. It makes them write down who has access to what, and it forces them to lock their server room doors. But, for the bigger companies, let's talk about the real reason that they spend millions of dollars on this. It's not all about security. It's about sales. If you are a startup or a tech vendor, and you want to sell your software to a major bank or a healthcare corporation, their legal team won't even hop on a Zoom call with you unless you hand them a SOC 2 report. It's just a business enablement tool. It's insurance. It tells the world, hey, if we got hacked, at least we tried. It's covering your assets in a courtroom. It's not about covering your assets in the network. So if you're running a business or working in an IT department, how do you escape the trap? What you have to do is you have to completely separate compliance from security. Compliance is a task for your legal and your sales teams. Security is a lifestyle for your engineers. First, you've got to stop totally relying on once a year human audits. Yeah, they're helpful, but you've got to move towards continuous compliance, automation tools that scan your cloud environment every single hour for misconfigurations. The second thing you've got to do is focus your budget on threat modeling, not on textbooks. Defend against how hackers are actually attacking companies today. Things like session hijacking, API vulnerabilities, and social engineering, rather than what a static compliance checklist from 5 years ago tells you to care about. And finally, executives need to trust their security teams. If your lead engineer tells you your system is unsafe, it doesn't matter what the auditor's certificates say. Listen to the person that's fighting the war, not the person counting the bullets. The bottom line is simple. Stop letting an accountant tell you your network is safe. It's time to stop just checking boxes and start hunting threats. If you work in tech, I want to hear from you down below. What is the single dumbest, most useless thing an auditor has ever made you do just so you can pass an inspection? Let's vent and roast them in the comments. I'll be down there and I'll be replying to the best ones. And if you don't want to, and if you want to see exactly how companies throw away millions of dollars on the wrong technology, I'm going to be doing a future video and watch how I break down on why massive security budgets still fail. We'll see you in the next video, and I hope you enjoyed this. Subscribe to the channel. I'm going to keep you guys updated on security threats, news, and tips to keep you safe.